Hey there, and welcome to the Adamant Cup group round. We have Gaea Hat action here for you tonight between SteppeLively and mikemike34. My name is Sheep Launcher. I'm here in the commentary booth with Moleboy. Moleboy, this is a very interesting group. The big name in the group is X Pancras, but both of these runners really feel like they have the talent, the drive, the determination to be the dark horse in this group. Both of them are pink puffs. Both of them really good runners. I'm expecting a really fun race tonight.
No, for sure, Sheep. And I will say this is going to be a great race to watch. Both Step Lively and mikemike34 are Pink Puffs from the Pink Puff League run by Asuka. Great to see them stepping up and joining into a tournament in the group stage here, and great to see that we're having some very interesting naming schemes going here. Believe Step Lively is doing an Encanto naming scheme with Edward being the person that we don't talk about.
Yeah, we
And
can't talk about.
looks like some naming from Mike with Hat and Hat, along with another Hat and some of the fellow runners of the group.
Yeah, very cool naming scheme, and it looks like some interesting objectives: liberate Baron Castle, complete the Giant of Babel, launch the Falcon, complete the Tower of Zot, return the Pan to Young's wife, complete Cave Magnus, conquer the Villa Masamune altar. A variety of objectives with a lot of key items and a lot of places to travel to.
For sure. And we're off, so it looks like we've got Sid and Kane as our starting characters with the Tower Key. Now, how do you feel about a start with Sid and Kane? Where would you go first?
Sid and Kane is a great start uh, to kind of blitz through some early checks, but that Kane, I would really like to have some weaponry for him. So I would be at my preferred looting spot. This is T Wildish, so Watery Pass is certainly an option. Eblin Castle is popular, but my first stop, of course, would be to pick up that free key item from Edward in Troya and pick up the sub treasury while I'm there.
And it looks like we have Step Lively doing exactly that, with Mike doing the other plan that I had thought about, which is, Eblin Castle, which is a nice dense looting spot. Yes, you have to deal with those trap chests, but a very early start to get some good weaponry for Kane and for Sid.
Yeah, with T Wildish, Evelyn Castle has some very high tier loot. There's a tiara, and Edward has a magma key. So the entire
Yes.
blue planet open to our runners.
And Mike though getting some value out of this, a Artemis bow out of Eblin Castle. That is a great pickup for Sid. Really, Sid is a very solid starting character. Where he's really let down is his agility, and that Artemis bow is going to do a great job of fixing that, along with the fact that um, Sid does not care nearly as much about having weaker magic stats as much. In the meantime, though, Step Lively in the public treasury picking up a curse ring, a great pickup, especially with that Sid. Step Lively really doesn't have to worry about an anchor for the rest of the seed.
Yeah, that's very nice. Step Lively also picking up a dwarf axe, which will allow her to back row glitch that cane as well.
Back row gets the glitch the cane, and when you want your Sid to go even slower.
Yeah, it does the curse ring not make him lethargic enough? How about you
You
add
know,
a dwarf axe? -5
most of the
agility.
time, but every so often you need both.
Ooh,
Step
and
Lively doing some shopping in the meantime while we have Mike doing the reset. This being the danger of Eblin Castle in that you have to skirt those trap chests, and there is no way this party in the current configuration is able to take those.
so one of the weapons for sale in that Troya weapons shop was an ogre axe. Boy, that ogre axe costs a pretty penny. Would you be saving your nickels to try and get something like that, or are you hoping for a loot somewhere along the way?
I think for me, it's good to keep in the back of your mind. I don't see myself selling the farm for it, just because, with the current treasure setup, the fact that it is max tier 7, you can spike a lot of good gear out of the non-trap chests. Not that it isn't good to know it's there in case you end up needing to pick it up, but really, what are you looking for? Your healing items, the heroin robe if you end up needing to buy one of those, a Leviathan orb if you end up with an early Rydia, things like that are more what I'm looking at from the purchase price. Or if you get Edge, you can buy his swords, but his swords are expensive.
And chat reporting that there was a white spear in Ebly Castle. Speaking of spiking some good weapons, that cane is set up.
Yep, and then SteppeLively picked up a Stardust Rod out of the Damsian Treasury. Not great for these characters, but any of the mages, and let's face it, there's going to be a mage in here somewhere they need to pick up. Any of those black mages are going to be happy to have that.
Yeah, and under these flags, each character is guaranteed to appear once, at least. So, you're going to pick up a mage sooner or later. Maybe it's sooner. SteppeLively going to check out who's up on Hobbs.
Yep. Oh, and a pretty decent start for Sid with that Poison Arrow Archer combination. Archer not amazing, but a lot better than the bows below it. Obviously, Mike with the Artemis bow having the advantage there, but those Poison Arrows are a good start.
It looks like SteppeLively spent so much time naming her characters that she didn't quite check out the objectives, so she's taking a second there to make sure she knows what she needs to do.
Oh, and realizing she did not save, so good to save just in case. The last thing you want to do is go through all the stuff that SteppeLively just did, see a character you don't like on Hobbs, decide to reset out, and realize you did not save, and you get to start that introduction all together. That does not feel good. Oh, and SteppeLively deciding Yang is worth taking. Probably partially on the fact that with the cane, you are a little bit better set to take on Val than you might be otherwise.
Very much so. Kane's jump, of course, stops the Valis' spin, makes her a little less intimidating. She's not that intimidating on Hobbs anyway. Her physical defense is not terrible here, and in fact, Mike gets through clean as a whistle and picks up that monk.
Yeah, and that's, to me, part of that is showing the power of the Artemis bow. That Eblin loot is helping with this initial clear and is going to put him in good stead. Between the White Spear and the Artemis bow versus SteppeLively running the, I believe, Flame Spear on the Cane and the Archer bow on the Sid, just a very different amount of damage going. And SteppeLively electing to loot back of Hobbs. Without an exit caster, I can't remember if they had any exits in their starting inventory, but still always good to see if you can get something good out of here. Oh, and they do. Oh, they started with multiple exits, so even better. 5. Okay. This was a play we're taking then, as we see Mike finding a sparkle in Antlion Cave.
Yeah, I don't know that that you start off with exits in the starting kit, but SteppeLively bought some in Troya.
I believe it's a possibility, though not 100%, because I know there was at least one I saw where I think they started with like 4 exits for whatever reason.
Well, I think the exit was worth using because one of the items on the back of Hobbs, a silk web. Always great to have one of those in your back pocket.
And we are seeing a definite, tendency towards mage kit here with SteppeLively also picking up a sorcerer robe. Depending on how kind the trap chests are, we know should be, the one adamant armor assured from the Pinktail. But otherwise, you're really going to have to armor as best you can with people. And, a coffin for the antlion work. Mike deciding to walk this out, keep the experience and probably look over maybe towards Fabul, or, maybe one of our runners is going to decide it's time to take a peek underground.
Yeah, it is fitting that our runners are going to go deep into the pit and only come out with a coffin. But you would like a little bit more after tangling with the note rope, but those are two Those are two bosses that you don't want to see. Out of the way early. Val and Ogopogo both in non-threatening spots.
No, for sure. There are definitely worse places that those two bosses could show up, but fear not, audience. There are plenty of other very mean bosses that we've yet to see, so we'll see where they decide to show up.
Mike going to head to the town of Baron to take on the Baron Inn, do a little bit more looting, and that's a Rosa having lunch with the good doctor.
And that is an Earth Hammer, which is actually a great thing for Sid to have for this fight. Though Mike decides to keep with the Artemis bow, which, considering the damage it's doing, I can understand it.
Yeah, and it's not like you have to do a whole lot of damage to get through the first spot anyway, especially when it's split 4 ways.
Yes. So I would say the one caveat to that is that the third piece of that, which is Balnob Z, is a very minor piece of experience. So if you don't see Balnob, you're really not losing a ton. But here we go. Ha himself in Baron Inn 2.
Yeah, Golbez has decided to turn the Baron restaurant into his own personal comedy club. He's going to laugh. The spot is really annoying to find Golbez in because it's so slow. He will take forever in deciding who he wants to get rid of and leave 2 characters out. Meanwhile, SteppeLively is tangling with Pale Dim and defending for Boole.
Yeah, and we're going to see the real difference here with, definitely not low damage on the Sid for this level, around 300, but the 1,000 damage that Sid was putting out for Mike. Just the huge difference between the Artemis bow versus the Archer bow. The Archer bow only giving 5 strength as opposed to, I believe, the 15. That it's either 10 or 15 that the Artemis bow gives.
I believe it's 15. I believe that's right.
Yep.
But Mike able to use the slowness of Golbez in this spot to get the wall up on Yang. Also, this spot doesn't have super high magic power, so he won't be able to just count on Golbez hitting himself.
No, though he's putting out pretty good damage here, so I think it shouldn't be too long until we get... Yeah, there we go. Why? And Mike is through, picks up a white mage.
Golbez always asking the same questions. Meanwhile, SteppeLively picked up a ninja shirt from defending for Boole. So if it weren't for the Earth Crystal that Mike just picked up from Baron Inn, I'd wonder if our restreamer Dishmu remembered to put in the key items.
Indeed, a very heads-up play, I would say, by SteppeLively, though, picking up both a Thunderclaw and Mute Arrows. Mute Arrows being just in general a very strong arrow, like kind of upper mid-tier, but also there's a lot of bosses in the game that are weak to that. Let's see, Magus Sisters, the Rubicante part of Elements, the Baron Guards, just Asura, just multiple bosses that will be made far easier by that.
Mike going to take the Magma Key down to Agard before checking out the treasury. Moleboy, with the Earth Crystal in hand, would you be in a hurry to check out the treasury, or would you want to kind of route it in as part of your normal progression?
I feel mixed. I see the logic here from Mike. I feel like I'm lacking power shirts. I'm lacking Zeus gauntlets. I'm lacking a lot of pieces I would like to have. I think I would have checked the treasury and possibly... I mean, with that 4th character and with that weaponry, I think Zot is attainable. So I would have debated going that route, but I can see the logic of, I've got a white spear, I've got an Artemis bow, I can go down here, check my shops, check Sheila 1 for the free key item, check the Fey March for a free item, and if I have a spare Siren, which looks like what might be happening here, we can Looks like Mike is going to be cracking an egg.
Yeah, very defensible. Has a full party, and decides, with a white mage and with 3 bruisers, that's a party you can take all the way to the end if you really wanted to. So, might as well get some levels on them when you can.
Yeah, and I don't. Again, he's only got the 1 siren, so this is probably more of a let me crack an egg to just get that early boost, especially for Heroine Artemis Rosa. So this is interesting. I'm not 100% sure why he's deciding to take down the Sid. Oh wait, I'm sorry. He does not have a cursed ring, so he wants to anchor Sid at this point, and so wants to make sure he's down before getting the experience. That makes sense. Sorry, I mixed which one of our runners had picked up the cursed ring. Yeah, this makes sense then in that position. He wants to keep a low agility Sid. Rosa's going to be going super fast, and with this egg, I didn't see if she got to Berserk, but if she, this will get her close, and then once she can self-Berserk with an Artemis bow and whatever arrows he slaps on her, he's going to be ready to go. So, and it looks like he might have just stopped to do that egg and is now going to be heading elsewhere. And it looks like just what you were saying, he might be heading for the treasury.
Yeah, getting to open that treasury with that, with the treasure weights, it's so important to do it early, because with T Wildish, if you stop by it later, you might not need anything anymore.
Yep, and we've seen in multiple races, even today, finding that gear, finding that, in certain cases, like not that that will happen here, but finding that adamant armor can just completely turbocharge your run and help you make up for lost time. Not a super overwhelming treasury, but nobody's gonna look down their nose at a power shirt.
Yeah, the power shirt, the kind of star of that one. But
yeah, I'm kind of with our resident pancake with the 4 out of 10.
Yeah. But Mike confident and gonna head straight up the Tower of Zot. And while he's making his way up there, I do want to thank our restreamer dschmoo619 and our tracker Chazman for taking care of things behind the scenes tonight.
Indeed, and shoutouts to just the, I always like to shout out the audience. Like, if you weren't here, I would have no one to talk to except for Sheep Launcher, and that would be kind of sad. So I just want to say thank you all so much for showing up and coming to watch these 2 runners like putting their all into this race. It's always great to see.
Big slam on me out of nowhere.
Well, I just meant more that like you and I talking into space is not exactly what we're looking for here.
No, we do want to talk to people, and we are glad you're here. But look at that Rosa on Mike's side. You're not starved for choices when you're picking whether to put a tiara or a ninja hat on her head.
Yeah, and really this is the level of like how fast could we make this Rosa? Because that's an Artemis bow, that is a heroine robe, so that is plus 30 agility, plus 33 with the ninja hat thrown in, so, go wild.
Yeah.
Pretty sure
that Rosa's going to be flinging arrows like Hawkeye.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm pretty sure that's more plus agility than Sid gets almost in the entire game, so looking good.
Mike finds an octopus in the first spot.
Yeah, and I was just going to say...
Octoman is not an issue here. This spot not terribly fast and will slow down.
Yep, and like I mentioned with that siren, Rosa just berserks herself, and this fight is pretty much controller down. The only way this would have gone faster is if Mike had had some lightning arrows to slap onto Rosa before casting that berserk.
Although the darkness arrows, I believe, are hitting an elemental weakness on Octoman.
I have never been clear. I know technically Octomam resists Holy, but I feel like there's some weird thing where of any of the Holy resistant bosses, Octomam isn't weak. But I'm sure somebody in the chat will correct me on that. But that seems a low damage considering the multipliers she should be having.
It does. We do want to welcome in the Raiders from Free Enterprise 2. Thanks for not spoiling the race you just saw. We are about 20 minutes in. Our runners started with a Sid and a Kain and a Tower Key. The Magma Key was available as a free item, Earth Crystal available in the Baron Inn, and now both of our runners in the Tower of Zot.
Oh, and we see a heads-up play here by SteppeLively, switching out that flame spear that was not doing great on the flame dog into the dancing dagger for Kain, and him just chucking that into the flame dog's chase. And ooh, Ninja Star, not what you were hoping of. Flame dog for once somehow not having the goods.
No, we've seen Flame Dog give adamant armors before. A Ninja Star, although there's an edge waiting at the top of the tower, but still not not worth the time investment.
Especially because, you know, where they would be hoping with edge is, hey, I picked up some Hanzo steel that I ordered off the internet from the armory. They didn't really get much.
I mean, do we know that the Ninja Star isn't made of Hanzo steel?
It could be, but it does not have the fine artisanal craftsmanship that we have come to expect and enjoy when it comes to Edge's weapons in Free Enterprise.
Mm-hmm. And you can only use it once.
That as well. And Kainatsu at the second boss in Zot. Mike doing a good job, was able to whittle down that HP enough that wave was not super crippling as he gets his attack going.
Yeah, Mike making this fight look easy. The Kainatsu is gathering the water, but not really threatening right now. As both Kain and Rosa doing 4 digits of damage a turn, and that turtle will be soup soon. It's hiding inside the shell and is now crumbling away. Couldn't get the crumble skip. Run is invalid.
You know, that kamikaze there, a young, you hope, you wish. Alas, it was not to be.
Not to be.
And this needs to possibly have some value here. I mean, there are still checks open. Obviously, with the Magma Key, that opens up a lot more checks. And I don't believe either of the runners have scouted Ordeal, but I think that's the only overworld check, like the tier 1 sort of overworld check that we have not seen yet by either runner.
Yeah, neither runner has climbed the mountain. And Mike gets the twin harp. Required music. When you do your objectives, they lead into each other. You love to see it. And Mike not going to waste any time. Going to be the runner of the people and give us some music. And there's absolutely no reason to delay here. The flight from Baron to Troya, not that far. You might as well get your objectives done while you're at least in the hemisphere.
Indeed, and this is like one of the few times where I feel like Team Fade Harp, you know, with it being an objective, you're here, you might as well do it before you run off elsewhere and have to come back. And that'll be Mike checking off the first objective of our race at probably around 25-ish minutes, depending on how long this fight goes and what the boss is.
Yeah, Mike's already done it. He did it at 21 minutes because he completed the Tower of Zot.
Thank you. I missed that was one of their other objectives. But
it was.
Finishing the Twin Harp at 25.
I mean, is this an insurance commercial? Because our runners are bundling.
I see what you did there.
Want to welcome in the Raiders from RPG Limit Break over to the free Enterprise channel. This is the Adamant Cup. This is the group stage. Gaea Hat action between SteppeLively and mikemike, and you got here just in time. We are just about to have one of the best parts of Final Fantasy IV free Enterprise, the randomized harp music.
And I would make a joke about only needing the edge of your seat, but neither of our runners took edge.
Well, SteppeLively hasn't gotten to edge yet.
That is true. So we could still see an edge in here, but in the meantime, we're going to shut up because we're about to hear the sweet, sweet tunes of DJ Spoony Bard.
A lovely harp rendition of a song from Final Fantasy IX, and mikemike continues to burnish his bona fides by not allowing the big dolls to come in and change the music.
Indeed, and rewarded with a rat tail. Now, no hook currently, so we can't see what's there, but that could lead to some value, which, if it does, will be to the pain of the entirety of Team Fade Harp.
Meanwhile, SteppeLively did take that edge, so we have some character divergence. I haven't seen any really good edge weapons yet, but they certainly could pop up.
And that is a high roll considering what he just started with. That is, did I see correctly? Was that a full moon and an assassin dagger that he just flat out started with?
That is a really nice. I don't know if he started with it, but that's what SteppeLively certainly picked up. There were two assassin daggers in the treasury.
Yeah, the assassin dagger. Assassin dagger is good aside from the kind of lack of accuracy. The full moon is basically equal to a longsword, with the slight difference that it's a little bit lower accuracy, but can hit from the back row and is strong against flying enemies. So definitely a good starter set, and no, all in all, probably not a bad pickup over the Yang, like longer term, especially if you're not planning to grind super deep.
mikemike now returning from Cave Magnus and gonna head up Mount Ordeals.
Now, what do you think about this play sheet? Because to me, I kind of see the logic, but then at the other hand, you haven't checked Feymarch. You haven't checked, so you have your free Feymarch item, you have 2 bosses, either of which could be free in the Fey March, and you have the Sheila as a possible item as well, as opposed to going through 3 bosses for 1 key item check.
I mean, you tell me if I'm being ambitious, but with this party and having already cracked an egg and having a Murder Rosa on my team, I might take a peek at the tower and see if there's a boss at the top that I could whittle that big HP pool down without much fear of the damage they could do.
For sure, and we see here this really the power of, Mike's Eblin Castle looting and going underground. Even if he's coming back for those top checks, he is able to clear this pretty quickly, and that might be part of the logic he's going by is, not much can stop me. He's got a heroine robe Artemis Rosa who is hitting stride. This fight is functionally free for that Rosa. There's no way that these guards will be able to chip through her even with only 600 something HP. And so maybe that's his logic here is I've got all the gear I need. I can clear these checks quickly, and if this happens to be the value I need, well, this is what we're doing.
Yeah, the other thing about these flags is we've really been seeing the importance of conservation of routing, of being smart with how you are, with the order of doing things, and for that reason, I think that going underground, at least checking Sheila, and then doing ordeals on your way back to Fabul, I think that could be a potential option. But Mike's certainly not making the wrong play at all. This isn't a criticism, and he's certainly making it look easy. Ordeals is mincemeat to him, and he gets a pass out of it.
And that, longer term playoff, but which Mike gets lucky in that this is the blue robe that you want to see, and he now has a knowledge later of seeing that other blue robe and knowing exactly which one it is.
Ordeal's really not living up to its name. The Kaipo guards, Water Hag, and Baigen in the front spot, not an issue at all.
And we see Steppe kind of following up after Mike's path, and is now checking that twin harp as we discussed. Good routing, so we'll get a second dose of that music fairly soon.
It's always great to see. Mike makes the Water Hag make the same sound I make in the morning when I get out of bed.
Indeed, and so now if Mike does find that Cecil or finds that Tella, they are now powered up.
Yeah, and 3 more bosses for any food that comes along. SteppeLively's party can't. Only the power of music can save them. Is it gonna happen? I sure hope so.
And well done by SteppeLively, taking down Calbreno without the big doll showing up. A little bit tighter than Mike's fight, but still very well done.
Yeah, SteppeLively got to experience the high magic defense firsthand, but made it through. Showed some real smarts there in targeting the dolls, and makes it through without the big doll showing up. And meanwhile, Mike has done some shopping, some looting in the underground and in Agert. Did you notice the Agert item shop had just one item, and it was a Sylph Orb?
Yes, it was very close to, you know, if anybody follows Martin Broadcloak's stream, he has a button that he pushes and takes a drink whenever he sees the Odin only shop, and it was almost that.
Yeah, I guess Sylph could be a little bit useful, but certainly not what this party can.
No, and not what
can
those
utilize.
runners are hoping to see. And in a little bit of parody, we now have SteppeLively going through the Agert shops, just kind of taking a quick look. I do also want to call out that Dragoon Shield only armor shop, also being a little bit chef's kiss as well.
Now, the supply chain is really hitting Agert hard.
Interesting choice that Steppe did not decide to pick up a longsword.
Yeah, with that edge.
And already having the cash.
But I guess deciding to hang on to that cash for now, spend it on something better down the line.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you're hoping to see... the way I think of it is, you know, the ninja sword is 11,000. The longsword is 11,000. The ninja sword is better, but the ninja sword is also 66,000. So you're only paying 1,000 more than a mute knife.
Right, it's all about the relative economy.
Yep, and I would definitely say that's a pretty decent upgrade over the assassin dagger, just because of those, just because of the accuracy issues on the assassin dagger.
Mike taking on the bosses of Dwarf Castle, gets the diet noodle in the front spot, a dancing Leviathan.
Indeed, and taken down easily enough, and so we will see, because I do not remember from Zot what is in slot 2 here, but we will find out, and we will find out what character we are going to see.
It is a purple robe, I believe.
That is, so some flavor of Mylon is about to happen. And we have a small Quake child that is not getting into this party.
No. Might be a little late for a Quake child. If there's a place in this party for a Quake child at all, it would have had to have come much sooner.
Yeah, I can see the logic from Mike. He's already spent his Siren. If I had that, that would have been something that I would have considered, just because you can pop that Siren, get Palom immediately to Virus, immediately to Quake. But also just that level of, you got a lot of mage gear. You got a Sork Robe. You've got a Stardust Rod. That is a lot of power to give to Palom. That's a lot quicker online than, say, this Yang is going to be. Now, if Mike continues to have to floor Sid, having HP on Yang as your chemist isn't a bad play. But I'm never quite the biggest fan of trying to go Zerker Rosa into Zeromus. So, again, wondering what the plan is there as well.
But counterpoint, Zerker Rosa is awesome. See, Xenocat agrees with me. Mike examines the floating purple hand. And so Mike has an interesting decision to make here. Both runners doing some checks in the underground. Neither has gone into has checked the free chest, have they?
No check on the Fey March, no check of no Sheila 1 check either. So let's see what this gives.
It's a life staff from Luca, which is an interesting item to have around your neck.
It's a nice item to have when you need it. And Mike electing to go for the tower before Fey March as well, so this is interesting as well. I get the logic here as well. It's 2 checks condensed. You've got the tower key, so you're not doing the debate of should I keyless tower. Oh, and this should be see what Steppe decides to do here. I didn't see if she swapped to the Fire Claw over the Lightning Claw that she was using on Leviathan, but she still has effective damage because for no particularly good reason, Mylon Z counts as a flying character, so that full moon doing bonus damage.
Yeah, and that jump from Kane doing bonus damage as well. And the reason, and whether you want to call it good or not, is that there isn't really an Earth elemental. So in order to not have Earth affect him, they've made him flying. So SteppeLively going to walk out of here with the life staff, and I think she has an interesting decision to make. She has an edge. She has the tower key. Does she start maybe looking in the trap chests in the Tower of Babil, maybe for a Murasame or a Masamune, and maybe sneak some sirens while she's there?
I don't think in this flag set you sneak sirens until you have verified that every single shop does not have them. That's just my thought. This could be a sirenless seat. There is a small, I think it's like a 5% chance or something that you don't see a siren of any kind. But the majority of the time you're going to find them in one of the gated shops, one way or another. And it just takes way too much time to steal all the sirens you're going to need to grind. Maybe as you're getting closer to 10 key items, because that's the other consideration. None of our runners are super close on key items, right? 5 and 5?
Yeah.
So I don't think I'm looking at sirens until I at least have that bonus, aside from, like the 1 or 2 like Mike used in order to get your party to a level, we want Palom with Quake, we want to have Zerk Rosa, that kind of thing.
Mike up at the top of the tower, facing down Yang. The Karate Man not doing a ton of damage up here, just has a lot of HP to get through, but Mike whittles him down. And just a moon veil. And I think our restreamer Dishmu lost a key item or two, like in the couch cushions or something.
Yeah, this has definitely been a sparse key item seed. Is this going to be like the anti-moon haunted zine where all the values on the moon? Because at this rate, we're going to need to find something soon because we're running out of checks.
Or are all the key items going to be hiding behind one long chain? Because there are a bunch of chain items that we haven't seen yet. The Baron key, the pan, the hook for that rat tail, and the Tower of Babel is more like the tower of our party, as Karate Man up top and Dark Knight Cecil manning the super cannon.
And in some ways, I am more than happy to see DKC in the super cannon room. That is another boss that can be really mean if he shows up in the right spot. And ooh, SteppeLively getting the payoff for taking Feymarch first, in that they pick up the pan before going over to Yang. So that's 3 checks that SteppeLively now has open.
It picks up a stack of Hourglass 2s.
You know, just to prove me wrong about the fact that you should buy a longsword, that's, you know, J items and other things that you can pick up. That's a lot of very free farming options that SteppeLively will have access to when she finally either picks up, well, basically when she finds sirens.
That is another shop that doesn't have sirens, though.
And that is a Feymarch. We have a Sparkle, and we've got Evil Wall at Leviathan.
Yeah,
now,
that is a Feymarch that you're happy to leave to the last check.
Yeah, and you know, the real question is did Dishmu just decide to really go on the side of the fans, and is that evil wall required? I suppose it could be, you know, Wyvern at Asura, which is equally mean, but
I did not see what Mike got from the tower. It looked like his stream froze up for me.
I did not either. Did anybody in the oh, looks like the hook.
Wow. So the hook's gonna bring Mike back. That's another check for him to go fetch.
Oh, and SteppeLively picking up an adamant from the Sylphs. They've got the goods tonight.
Where have they been hiding that?
I know, seriously.
If they'd just given that to Young earlier, he wouldn't even be in the bed.
Yeah, that checks out. I mean, I'm pretty sure the adamant just lets you, like, survive massive explosions.
And SteppeLively immediately gonna go talk to Sheila. Restreamer Dishmu working tirelessly to get Mike back up. Sheila has another Stardust Rod.
And the spoon. So a little bit of vanilla then. Vanilla hook, vanilla spoon.
Interesting. We have not seen hide nor hair of Edward, who can equip that spoon as a weapon in these flags. But SteppeLively does have that edge, so has a quad 9 dart for whenever she feels like she needs to use it. Maybe against that evil wall?
I mean, the problem is the spoon only gives you so much. I mean,
we haven't seen any of the moon bosses. For example, a D-Mist on the moon is a great candidate for a spoon, because you only have so much time to deliver the damage that you need to. And it can be really annoying to sit through the mist cycles, so you can use the spoon to take care of things quickly. Ninja shirts for sale in Tamra. And SteppeLively doesn't have an Artemis bow. She picks up a samurai bow, though.
A good substitute. Plus 10 versus plus 15 strength. Really, the Artemis paying off with the addition of the agility. But with the cursed, between the edge and the cursed Sid, Step should really not have any agility anchoring problems on this run.
Not going to curse that Sid just yet. Oh, and that is sweet. A marriage and family therapist.
An important job that people do not appreciate nearly enough.
No. What do you suppose? What do you suppose the number one dwarf?
Oh my!
Dwarf. Wow. So it's nice to have Mike back. This is in the Fey March. This is what the sparkle is. It's a wyvern.
Yeah, we now know the sparkle. This is going to be a thing, especially with that. So here's like a thought I had for you, Sheep. Like, you've got an adamant armor, you've got edge. Do you just do evil wall now?
That with that adamant armor, that evil wall could be free. Not as easy to cheese it as if you had Edward, for example, but that adamant armor will protect against the crush phase. That edge can be back road, and I think that edge with an adamant armor in the back row can withstand the evil wall punches all by himself, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, if I'm remembering correctly, the adamant armor makes you immune to crush phase. And in addition to that, you're probably going to be able to survive the punches. Yep, as Xenocat points out, that's what I was thinking. Adamant in the back row can take the punches.
Yeah.
And then once you get to front crush phase, it doesn't do anything to you, and you just punch until it dies.
Yeah.
Would it be fast? Probably not. And spiking another power shirt, Step is getting some good armor here.
And Step got a crystal ring from one of the trap chests, so really getting all the protection she needs. Mike, meanwhile, giving Wyvern another shot, slowing down the battle speed. Trying to get everybody up. This Wyvern speed is a little bit more manageable this time around.
A little bit. I'm just hoping, like, my worry here is just I'm not sure what Mike's agility situation is looking like with the uncursed Sid. So to me, the issue is we know Rosa with the heroine robe, and if it's, I don't think he has the Artemis on her, so it's like at least the heroine robe would be faster. But I don't know if Kane and Yang are fast enough, and they're just not putting out the damage here, that once these nukes start hitting, they're just going to keep hitting. He seems to be keeping up with it now, but we'll see if we can, if he can hang in there.
Yeah, not even trying, but that Rosa needs some more HP in a hurry. Or needs some more MP in a hurry, I should say.
Yeah, and here we go. Step slapping that curse ring onto Sid. I did not see if she checked Sid's agility. Sid does have a very awkward set of levels where the curse ring makes him agility 0, which is what we like to call problematic. But she's not doing anything major. Personally, it always happens to be while I'm doing self-trap chests at 1 HP and then I die. That's definitely not this situation, so let's see how this goes.
Meanwhile, Mike using a tech to try and keep up with this wyvern, slapping the life staff on Rosa and using the life staff as an item.
That's an interesting choice, but as you can see, this is just this is just this has to not feel great for Mike as he's, you know, trying to keep up with the life roulette and getting lucky that it keeps targeting Sid, but just not really getting a lot of damage out in the meantime. And if Sid or Kane, or if Yang or Kane go down, he's gonna have a tough time of it.
Yeah, he is treading water, but you know, if he takes a turn to do any kind of damage at all, then suddenly that nuke comes out and he has to scramble back up. So we'll see if he can muddle his way through this.
Yeah, he's still putting out damage, which is good, but this is the scary part where is Wyvern going to nuke before he can get another up? Does it hit the person? Okay. So damage is going down, but so long as he can keep people up, we'll see how this goes.
SteppeLively encountering Karate Man at the top of the tower. We know it's a Moonveil up here.
And then we'll probably pop down, and I did not see her doing the tower room on the way up. But Moonveil, honestly, another nice thing to have, and another thing that you know, would be effective in making Evil Wall free.
Very much so. That Moonveil makes a character impervious to both, impervious to physical attacks and puts up a wall against magic attacks. So, yeah, even if she didn't have that Adamant equipped edge, the Moonveil could make Evil Wall much, much easier. Although it is still very fast. Mike has been giving this a good shot, but he's starting to fall behind now. As this wyvern is just relentless. So SteppeLively has a real chance to make up some ground here. Going to descend down the tower and take on a DKC in the cannon room. So my thought is, and this is a tough situation to be in for Mike, because you don't want to cut bait here. You don't want to give up on this fight that you put a lot into it. But at some point, when do you pull the plug? When do you think, you know, I've been trying for so long, it's not worth it? Or do you fight it out until the end?
I mean, that's hard, right? It's kind of there. Well, you know, he just finished it, so he doesn't have to wonder if he cuts bait at this point. But yeah, I mean, the sunk costs fallacy is real when it comes to some of these checks, right? Should I have cut bait a while ago? I've already invested enough time. Should I continue? I will say one of my feels terrible moments was during a run where I needed to take out elements at Barren Basement with next to nothing except for I think, Adamant Archer Bow Rosa with crap arrows, and I literally just said, you know what, we're just going to do this. I berserked Rosa and walked off, and I think might have taken a bathroom break and still came back to that fight going. So sometimes you do what you have to do. That's very feels bad, and I'm sure Mike feels really like I would feel behind if I had just spent that much time to not get anything. And I feel like he's going to kick himself even harder when he comes through and finds the Sylphs gave him the Adamant, which would have sped that fight up a lot.
So it was very well done of Mike to hang in there. His tenacity is really to be admired, but he only got a gold apple. You saw him do a couple of laps around in frustration, and then he realized his Rosa still didn't have any MP, so he couldn't exit out.
Yeah, it was a little bit of like a doubles feel bad. I mean, he's certainly not out of it. I hope he's not despairing too much. He's run a really great race so far, and sometimes you take those gambles. What if this turns into something that I really needed? What if this turns into something that would have been, that turns out to be darkness? In the meantime, we have Step doing. Looks like gonna launch the hovercraft and check the rat tail now that she has the hook.
So Mike went to the Sylphs, picked up that adamant armor, and decides now's the time. I want that evil wall.
Yeah, and I get that feeling, right? It's like after all of this, just being like, you know what? I just want to be done with the Fey March, and can we never speak of this again?
Yeah, until after the race when two obnoxious
when we have to ask
decide to ask about it.
Yeah, I'm sure he's gonna love talking about that moment.
Well, do want to thank our restreamer dshmoo619 for getting Mike back up online, and thanks to Chazman for making sure that the tracker has been kept up through that
100%
whole thing.
And an interesting play here, like by Step, it looks like maybe going to check out what we've got going on in Cave Eblin, and maybe deciding to launch the Falcon just to get that objective checked off the list while you can. It gives a character check. Oh, we're going to Castle Eblin, and this is a party that can check those trap chests.
Yeah, and you have to imagine that SteppeLively wants a weapon for Edge. Or maybe get another adamant armor, make your party even more fearsome. But I think she wants something that starts with M.
You'd want something that starts with M. You'd like to, a trap chest that just happens to have another adamant armor in it, or two. If we're being greedy. All of those lovely things that happen at tier 8. Because we know Cecil's in here somewhere, and nobody has checked the hook character yet.
That is true.
And it looks like, I'm assuming based on the frontline miss on Kane, that Kane just used the Moon Veil on Mike's screen for this fight.
He did. So that Kane rocking the Moon Veil, I don't know who he put the adamant armor on. Might be that Rosa.
Rosa would make sense to me. I don't hate the cat claw adamant yang. Oh, interesting. Xenocat's calling out the adamant Kane. That is an interesting choice to me, just because whoever has the adamant is pretty functionally defended against the evil wall and against the crush. Moonveil would have doubled that and allowed you to easily keep two characters up, but we'll see how this goes. I mean, he's got a berserked adamant Moonveil Kane, so one way or another he's going to win this fight.
Yeah, that's a one-man wrecking crew, if you've ever seen one. I agree with you, although I don't know if Kane can withstand until the crush phase, even with an adamant in the front row.
Well, isn't that I thought Mike had found a dwarf axe, so I thought that would be a back road Kane, but maybe I'm incorrect.
I mean, he might have found it and sold it without equipping it. It's tough to remember that far back.
Yeah, it was at least 45 minutes ago. Who remembers that?
Yeah. And now that Kane can jump, so Evil Wall will... the Evil Wall's got to hit something. You know, just like that old poster, nuke the whales. Got to nuke something. Evil Wall's got to hit something, and if nobody's around, it'll hit itself.
Indeed, and we see the power of adamant armor here, that Evil Wall is advanced enough that it is now functionally harmless against Kane because Kane is immune to instant death effects like Crush.
See, if only we had put adamant armors on the twins, they could have survived and not had to turn themselves into stone.
I think the real question there is, were those walls evil enough to have Crush phase?
Yeah. So, SteppeLively in Eblan Castle, taking on the Mad Ogres and trying to sneak some wines from them. And apparently it's harder to sneak wines from the ogres when they're small. At least SteppeLively is finding it that way.
And then just deciding, you know what, we're just going to end this and see what we get. And
oh!
I'm glad I called it here, folks. That is a second adamant armor. SteppeLively has to be feeling pretty good about that at this point.
Only way she would be feeling better is if this were on Omnidextrous, so she could wear it
So
on
you
her
can
head.
put them on the same character. Exactly.
And Mike is through that evil wall.
For the package. So if this is Fu, or oh, interesting, decides to reset out of the package, maybe just to keep that moon veil.
I understand the play. At this point, the package, you don't want to sit through the package cutscene ever, really, but maybe you sit through it for a Fu, but that's certainly not guaranteed. And actually, we haven't really found any holy swords, so even Cecil at this point might not be all he's cracked up to be.
Mm-hmm. Well, the Eblan Castle play definitely paying off for Steppe as she picks up another adamant armor. That is a major, force multiplier, and cutting the equipment advantage that Mike had in that, like, those weapons that really stood him well in the beginning, she now has.
Yeah, she's in a really good spot, and she's going to check that rat tail, which has to be something.
Well, you
It's
said
a
it had to be
darkness
something.
crystal.
It's something.
It sure is a darkness crystal, and you have to imagine SteppeLively is going to make a beeline right to Mysidia to raise that whale.
And if I'm reading this correctly, Steppe is a Baron key away from Go mode.
That's right. Now she has to do quite a few tasks, but she is one key short of having everything she needs to accomplish everything she needs. And so we'll have to see if Steppe will go up and commit to the moon here. You do have one objective to do on the moon. There are quite a few key items still out there.
There are, but I mean, we're kind of running out of checks, right? We know that it's not in the Feymarch, so if Steppe decides to go to the moon and start checking this stuff, this is nominally the right play. Be really interesting to see which checks get made first here.
Yeah, and Steppe does have 2 adamant armors. She has the levels on some of her characters, I think.
Well, and she's got, I think, almost on all of them, right? Because she hasn't been, like, her levels were a little bit lower than Mike's, but those 2 adamants kind of make up for it. But also, she hasn't been, sleeping her Sid.
Right, she hasn't had to because she does have that curse ring.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Mike having a little bit of trouble landing the Enterprise as he goes to turn in his rat tail and is going to be finding his darkness crystal. As called out, the one advantage that Mike still has is that Mike has the pass and Steppe does not. So if Steppe doesn't think to check that Fabul defense, which is I believe where Mike got it, and somebody can correct me if it was from another trick I'm just spacing on.
Yeah, the pass was from Ordeals.
Oh, Ordeals, right. So there is a chance that gets faded by Steppe. I mean, even if it's quick, that's a lot of checks.
Steppe gonna check the moon character here.
Survey says now this is an interesting choice. What do you do here, Sheep?
Oh, if it were Fu, I'd put more stock into it. Tell me, Moleboy, what utility do you think Tella has at this stage of the game for SteppeLively's team?
Berserk. It's getting your punchy people up faster so that they start hitting things even quicker.
So you either have to replace your Berserk caster or you reduce one of your punchy people to get Tella onto the team.
My thought would be is like you use Rosa as your healer. You've got Edge and you've got Kane. Now, hopefully through these moon checks, we're going to find, either Hanzo or knockoff Hanzo for Edge. You've got a geared up Kane. Sid is with the if you're cursing Sid for your anchor, you're never going to be hitting super hard with him. So if you're okay with not having the chemist, then you can go with Tella as your anchor, curse him, and then have him for all of the utility casting you need, be it Blink, be it Berserk, getting those other two up and punching as quickly as possible. It also gives you the option that if you feel like your team is strong enough or you need the extra punch, you Adamant or Heroine robe Rosa, and she's got that Artie bow still sitting there and at least some decent arrows, and you just start going wild. That's at least my thought process.
No,
Oh, and a heads... Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, it's a good thought process, as SteppeLively going top down and taking on the D-Lunars first, who are hot desking it tonight.
Yep, and I was just going to call out the heads-up play by SteppeLively there of using Cure 3 to damage and get some extra damage in without triggering the D-Lunar counter scripts.
Yeah, that's when the D-Lunars are really scary, when they get the virus counter scripts going. Anything you can do to get damage against them without triggering that is good, and SteppeLively wisely avoiding that. Meanwhile, Mike also head up to the moon. I did not see if he took Tella. But Mike not going to go top down, going to go bottom up, it looks like.
Yep, as he starts walking the LST and starts going down.
Do you have a thought, Moleboy, about because you have your objective is on the bottom. Also, key item checks are denser down there. Do you have a thought of which route you would prefer?
Theoretically, you should be going bottom up here. You're one key item away from knowing what all you have to take. At the same time, I like doing the Mura altar. It's a little bit simpler. It gives you some XP, and as Xenocat's calling out with the pass, and with the pass, it makes more sense. So what Mike is doing with the pass makes sense, and actually what SteppeLively without the pass is doing also makes sense.
Yeah, both runners do have to jump off of the moon anyway.
Yep, I was just about to say that too. It's like, we know they still have to go to the Giant, they still have to liberate Baron.
They have to
So,
watch the Falcon.
yep. So if, if Step happens to spike exactly the Baron key, or what else have you, that gives them an advantage. In the meantime, let's see what Mike manages to find at Ogopogo.
There's still some juicy bosses out there.
This is not my favorite Ogopogo boss.
No, Ashura, real annoying here. And hits hard.
Hits hard, is extremely fast. Oh, and Mike did take the Tella as an anchor to replace Sid. This makes sense. Tella is a very serviceable, non-cursed anchor, and perfectly usable, as it does not look like Step got the value that she might have been hoping for out of the Myrrh Altar.
No, but that is 10 key items. So SteppeLively going to definitely hang on to that at the least.
Yep. So, Sand Ruby could be value. We haven't seen a Holy Sword yet, but this is the moon. Who knows what we're gonna find? And along with that, Cecil could be behind in that bed. I don't think I check it. I definitely don't leave right now to check it, but I don't think I check it because Kane and Edge, if you can get, even with Adamants, that's a major force multiplier. If you can get some better weapons for Edge, even better. And those two are perfectly capable of whittling down Zeromus with a decent agility anchor and Rosa to heal.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think you would leave the moon to check the Sand Ruby character. I think both runners have to be happy with their parties as composed. There's still a lot to do, and I don't think either runner is going to be hurting for levels by the time they get to see. And certainly, if you're going to go down and check the Sand Ruby character, you do it after you take care of the moon. Maybe there's a Rydia there that you use as an anchor. I don't know.
I mean, you could always find that, but what we're really seeing here is, if you've noticed, Step is definitely hot on the heels of Mike, if not a little bit ahead, and it really is the power of those adamant armors. Getting that adamant armor earlier than Mike, and fading those, going to the moon rather than doing the Fey March checks, is massively paid off for her.
Very much so. That the time that Mike spent in the Fey March really slowed him down. He didn't perform badly, especially on that Evil Wall fight, but just had nothing to show for it.
Yeah, and the Evil Wall fight and that really long Wyvern fight. Oh, and Step with 10 key items has decided to find King Queen Evelyn.
And she's having Edge attack his own parents, which is just insensitive. But the one of the highest EXP spots in the game with a free fight with 10 key items, a perfect storm for Step.
Yep, one attack, and then remembering that you can just stand here and wait for this to end. In the meantime, Mike, thankfully that was a objective, but that cannot feel good pulling a Bahamut orb out of that fight.
No, but getting through the Ashura, getting whatever EXP you can, and ticking off that objective.
The issue there being that, again, Kane was the only one who survived the fight.
And Kane already has that adamant armor, so don't need too many more levels on him. SteppeLively ends the suspense and takes care of King Queen Evelyn. a Dragoon Spear, and an Adamant. Not much there to write home about.
Nope, but one less check to make, and, you know, overall, like, you know, Steppe does have that Mura check under her belt as well, which just means, you know, one less to make as we try to figure out where the value lies.
Steppe checking out Mom Bomb in the White Spear room. Meanwhile, Mike is going to tread over this ground again. And we were saying how the runners are kind of crossing each other's paths now. It's still anybody's race.
Oh, for sure. You know, if you look at the objectives, Mike's one ahead, really just one check, you know, trading between, because Steppe did Mura and Mike did Masa. So I'm pretty sure that Mike is about to start this Mom Bomb fight right afterwards.
Yeah, and with any luck, we might have 12 little bomblets on our screen.
And Steppe has decided that she does not want to see that, as she darts the spoon straight into Mom Bomb to just be like, can we just get this done quicker? And I do not at all blame this approach.
No.
And we see the mighty I was just going to say, we see the mighty power that I was referring to of Curse Sid doing 760 damage with an axe.
And SteppeLively, no bomblets today.
No bomblets, but that's a little feel bad.
A crystal glove, and we're kind of running out of places to check. Nobody has gone to the crystal sword altar yet. And cave value is just there, ripe for the taking. But Xenocat making a point in chat. That fight used Steppe used a Moonveil and a spoon.
No, that was a little pricey. But you know, sometimes you just have to make those calls, and electing to keep going with the spoon and the Moonveil, I would have debated resetting out of that, especially because it is such a zonk. But continuing on, let's see what happens.
Crystal glove, by the way, is a nice chunk of cash, but neither runner is in particular need of cash right at this moment. Neither runner has gone to the Eblin shop, which is guaranteed to have two tier 5 items. What both parties could use, I think, is some wine.
For sure. I think that would have, if I knew where if I knew that Bacchus was in a shop, and I knew that, you know, it was definitely in the seed, that would have changed my thought process when it comes to Tella versus Sid. I think the other thing I would have thought of is how many what is my access to cure 3s? Those would have been kind of my thought processes. Just because if you've got an access to a stack of cure 3s and you have Bacchus's, then to me, you take the Sid, he becomes your chemist, Rosa becomes damage. And interesting to see here, I would have, I'm not sure I would be attacking with Sid, because that's just going to keep triggering those counterattacks, and he's not going to be doing, well, now you don't have to worry about Sid punching, so the problem just took care of itself.
There you go. That this spot, almost impossible to life lock on. Sid was trying it for a little bit, but sure, just too fast.
Yeah, I mean, the advantage here is by the time you're at this point, you should be able to do enough of the damage that if you do enough damage, then Cure 4 doesn't necessarily completely heal Asura, but I mean, at this point, walled anyway, so kind of a moot point. But yeah, look at that damage on Rosa. Is 2600 is not anything to sneeze at as this keeps going.
Yeah, I think that Rosa has mute arrows, which is really helps against a mage type.
Mm-hmm. Interesting that I think Step put on the samurai bow instead of the Artemis bow, maybe not realizing that they grabbed it out of Eblin.
Mike is through the elements at the Crystal Sword altar and gets the Luca key. So that's another way forward.
Yeah, I'm trying to think through what we have as options here. It's either going to be through Luca, Cave Bahamut, or are those the only two paths we have right now? Because we know it's not Mursame. We know it's not anything else.
Yeah, we know it's not that rat tail. So, you know, Mike's gonna leave the moon, not having done the Murasame, not having done Cave Bahamut.
And I did not catch, did he save before coming back to Earth?
I did not see if he did or not. It would not surprise me if he left to save up on the moon.
Because and that would be my play, right? Because you can check Luca, you can check the key item in Luca without checking the boss. So he would know if he's got, if that has value. In the meantime, I think we're going to see Step probably heading over to the Crystal Sword altar.
Yeah, that's our only place left in the moon.
It's going to be a tight game.
Yeah, and this is a big play. Mike gonna check that key item. Remember, Mike can reset right after checking that key item. There are no boss hunts in these flags. Absolutely no reason to stick around and see who the boss is if the item is not to your liking. Mike gonna head down. One of the things that the 7 out of 7 seeds really cut down on is the need to do any kind of door grind at all.
Oh yeah, at this point with with either of these runners, door grind and honestly a grind in general makes very little sense. You've got a little bit more that you're going to need to check, but you're well within the area to be able to do some damage pretty much no matter what.
SteppeLively going to slice right through these elements with those 2 adamant armor.
For sure, and interesting to elect to put up blinks here. I mean, Rosa only took 171 in the back row. Your Kane is front road. I would have been getting the Berserks up, I think, a little before the blink, but yeah, you see him going out now. And oh, Mike finding that Luca Cave is not the path forward. So coming back to the Crystal Altar, we are nearly neck and neck.
Yeah. And that means Cave value has got the value again. That means that Baron Key has to be in Cave Bahamut.
That is the way forward indeed. And in the meantime, as we were talking about, Mike now going to try Murasame altar, which we know is not the path. So this gives a huge advantage to Step if she decides to check Cave Bahamut before checking Luca.
We know the Legend Sword has to be behind the Baron Key. The Pink Tail was in the Seal Cave.
Yes, and interesting again that Mike chose to reset out. Now, I get the feel. I'm guessing at this point, lots of nerves, feeling like you're behind after that. Wyvern fight. And Step is going to Cave Bahamut by all accounts.
That's absolutely the play she needs to make. She doesn't want to leave the moon without doing everything she can up here because there's a lot to do. And in fact, both runners have to complete the Giant of Babel, and it would not surprise me if they went from the moon to the Giant and then back to the blue planet to clean up there.
And again, that is another spot where Steppe having those extra adamant armors is, well, I guess extra adamant armor is going to really pay off. Giving like multiple of your characters that boost is just huge. And here we go with Cave Bahamut as Mike decides to do my favorite strat of just, you know, reflecting the breath and then laughing at the D-Lunars.
Ribbit.
And if Steppe still has that white spear for Kayn, this is a major advantage here of just exploiting that holy weakness. But even defense sword adamant Kayn with Zerk is going to do more than enough to chew through this.
Yeah, Steppe actually continuing to loot. Maybe looking for darts or something, because she did double back and pick up a Gungnir spear.
And that was my thought as well. You know that it's not an actual, like, this is better now sort of thing from a damage aspect. And really just seeing the power of those adamants as Dark Elf hits for too.
Mike gets the Sand Ruby and now knows his path forward, and he will follow SteppeLively into the cave.
Yeah, and Steppe just routing this a little bit tighter, and those that extra, the earlier adamant armor and then the second adamant armor really helping. Oh, and heads up play here. The dragon version of Dark Elf does not have the boss bit, and so throwing that hourglass in this fight is even more free than it was before.
And she did pick up 10 of them, so she has plenty of hourglasses to spare.
And it'll be interesting to see if that pays off on the Giant, because there are still a lot of free fights that I feel like we have not seen.
I think there's only one remaining. I think just Baron guards.
Have we seen Dark Imps?
We have not seen Dark Imps, you're right. We also haven't seen the Alt Gauntlet.
Yes, another joy that we love to see on the Giant.
And the two runners are like ships passing in the night.
Yep, and let's see if Steppe decides to go to the Giant. Yes, you called it, and this is the play that it makes sense, right? Go directly to the Giant from the moon, get that, you get the rest of your levels. You know, the one thing to call out, Mike has the pass, Steppe doesn't. That could end up being the difference here. This is an extremely tight race, and certainly not over, even with Steppe being a slight bit ahead at this point.
Yeah, doing the Giant on the way back from the moon does save a cutscene, an entire cutscene of going from the moon to the blue planet or vice versa. So you save that, save a little bit of time. And SteppeLively knows there's not a ton in the Giant that can really stonewall her. This will get her to finish up her levels and complete an objective as well. And Xenocat pointing out in chat that the Dark Imps were at Rubicante, so we will be encountering them on the hook route.
Indeed.
You know, they expect us to remember stuff instead of just talking.
All right, so here comes the fun part. As Steppe saves and steps in here, let's find out what she's won. The Magus Sisters.
Tricky.
A little bit. There's a lot of HP, and it's a little obnoxious to try and bash down Cindy, but at least the magic in this spot is not terrible, so you're not going to get too messed over by their Delta attack. Very quick though, so that's not going to be fun.
And Step is going to decide to just throw everything she has.
And I honestly do not hate this play.
No, a lot of HP to chew through. The dart is kind of the quickest way to rack up chunks of HP using that edge.
That stack of mute arrows that Step purchased early definitely paying off now as well. Must be a poison or an ogre axe from Sid, because the rune axe would be doing a ton more damage.
Yeah, I don't even know if we've seen a rune axe.
And some heads up play here with Step electing to directly attack and dart rather than zerking. Just with that idea that, you know, this is definitely Cindy needs to go down. Otherwise, you're just wasting a lot of effort on the other sisters without a lot of payoff, and then just seeing them get revived because Cindy's got a ton of HP and doesn't go down easy.
Yeah, this spot is fast, although the magic not doing a lot at all.
I mean, the combination of like the element spot not being terrible when it comes to magic, and you know, everybody's favorite adamant armors, that helps to really neuter a lot of what makes the Mega Sisters extremely painful.
Delta attack. 1.
And I will say, Neon Gray pointing out, yes, theoretically you can Mindy farm. I'm not sure if I would suggest it. I'm not sure if anybody suggests it, but that is a thing that exists that you could do.
There is a time and a place, but and you know, Step's levels are looking a little low, which I say for any levels that aren't level 99.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be kind of like what we were discussing with how this seed played out. Almost not even needing to worry about those sirens. You've got your grind right here with the required giant, and able to just kind of push through. And so we've also then, you know, Mike might coming into this fight as well. We will see how this goes.
Yeah, we'll see if Mike can make up some time here on this fight. Not really sure how he would do it, but it's possible to make up some time with a little bit better execution. I do like you have to zerk at some point. The advantages of zerking to your attack power are just too much not to forsake zerking altogether. But I like the targeting that Step did early to carve Cindy down as much as possible before letting the zerkers go. And that Cindy is down.
Yep, I was just about to say, with Step, we've got them down, so now it's just the other sisters. Most of the danger that you see from, say, Sandy is at least slightly mitigated due to the fact that Rosa doesn't have white, and Rosa can't cast Medium.
But that Rosa can still do quite a bit of damage with those bows and arrows. Luckily, she just hits herself for 15, and she's right as rain again. And here's a spot where really having 2 Zerkers doesn't really play to your advantage, because you have to wait until so late in the fight to utilize that Zerking ability anyway.
And Rosa getting poisoned just in time to block the Berserk that she was going to cast on herself.
Ooh. this certainly is the longest Magus Sisters fight I've seen in a while. Both runners have high levels, are doing a tremendous job against it, but these sisters just are so fast and have so much HP at the spot.
Yes, and it never feels good.
So you've been in races like this where you have a couple fights where you think you're in a good position, but you don't know if your opponent's doing something just a little bit better. How are you feeling with that? How are you dealing with that just uncertainty?
I mean, overall, I would say that I do my best. I mean, this is, easy enough to say, hard enough to do, to just try to keep out of the mind of what their other runner's doing. I don't check the race room. I don't know if the other player is finished. I just need to run the best possible race I can. If I'm hoping, hey, if I had a hard time, I wiped something, somebody else decides that they have a problem where I don't, maybe things even out. Doesn't always happen. I think Mike must feel pretty behind right now, especially after that Wyvern fight, and that Wyvern fight just not giving value. To me, that just never feels great. Oh, this is an interesting challenge for SteppeLively, just because this is a pretty high magic spot. Until you have adamant armor and you take a 1 damage glare, I take that back.
The glare scared me because it's a glare, and then it hit edge for 1 damage.
I'd like to reflect back to a race yesterday where Ruby was in a spot where glare did 7,500. I mean, this is done.
Yeah, the magic attack is just not doing enough against the super powerful adamant armor, and Rubicon is going to be annoying and do a lot of animations, but that Kane and that edge will take care of everything. And knock down that Sid just to be extra courteous.
Yeah, I mean, of any of the characters to lose at this point, Sid is the one that's the one you can afford to lose and get the XP on the rest.
And no problem with that Ruby. And SteppeLively is going to be through the giant. There is a character here. It could be a foo.
It is not a foo.
It is certainly not a foo. Nope. Go away, kid. We already got a Zerking White Mage. Mike, meanwhile, has done a little bit of a sister grind. Two of the sisters have gone down and been resurrected so far.
Yeah, no, I think they called it out in chat. Unfortunately, Mike just zerked too early. I think SteppeLively, like, really props to her for playing that Mega Sister fight so well. One Zerker, staying targeted with everybody else on Cindy, really pushing through, really great to see. And that could be a game changer in this. Again, the reminder, Mike has the pass. That's, a minute or two of not walking the lunar subterrane to get to Zeromus. But he's going to be on this fight a lot longer because of that.
And SteppeLively back on the blue planet, going to take out Baron. Already knows that she doesn't have to check out the Baron throne. So we'll just liberate the castle. And Cindy goes down on Mike's side.
Oh, thank goodness. I was really worried that Mindy was going to come back up. So the Slight small consolation here is there'll be a little bit of extra XP, 341,000 for Mike, but that fight taking as long as it did just is not going to feel good.
Definitely will want to take a safety save after that. And then take on that Ruby. We'll have a little bit of a harder time than SteppeLively did with that Ruby, but it shouldn't be too daunting.
Not at all, as we see. I can't imagine this Odin is going to be long for this world as he punches the cursed Sid for 1.
You feeling okay there, buddy? You need a little pep in your step? He's like the Anthony Hopkins Odin, rather than the regular Odin.
Yeah, not the most strong or threatening, and CPU at Baron Throne should not be much of a block for SteppeLively either. So really, it's this: go launch the Falcon and then start walking her way over to Zeromus. So great to see her starting to wrap things up as we see Mike starting to punch his way through this Ruby.
So you remember how the glare on Step's Edge did 1? The glare on Mike's Young did much more than 1.
Yeah, Solaris, I don't think there is a Yang Adamant. Mike, unless he picked up something I missed, only has the 1, and I believe it's on Kane.
That's right. Yeah, both runners picked up the Adamant from the Sylphs, but only SteppeLively picked up the Adamant from the Trap Chest. And a Dark Knight Cecil joins in Baron. Step says, no, we don't need that kind of evil in this party.
And Statue says, Dark Elf, and is that Zemus?
I believe so. It was creepy, whatever it was.
And it doesn't even matter what this is, because all Step has to go do is go launch the Falcon.
That is an Excal for the Dark Knight that she hasn't activated and hasn't leveled up and doesn't really want. But
yes, that is something that, if somebody, at this point decided they wanted to throw for content, could do.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be quite an investment for the meme, but we've seen it. And Mike might gonna take on the hook route before taking on Baron Castle.
How do you feel about this play? I mean, I guess it's kind of like 6-1, half dozen the other at this point. I guess it makes a little bit more sense for Mike since he'll end at Baron Castle and then can just go to Troya with the pass.
Yeah, you'll launch the Falcon. The portal to the above ground is right there. Baron is just north of Agert. You don't need to worry about swapping aircraft, so that's a smart routing decision, I think.
Oh no, this will be an interesting choice for Mike. Does he take level 1 Rydia?
The perfect anchor. The platonic ideal of an anchor.
Yeah, just to point out, this is not going to be a Rydia in the vein that JMac the Librarian prefers Rydia. This is going to be the Rydia that we have tended to see throughout these group stages so far.
With a rot.
Even better.
But Mike says, no, bye-bye.
And I think if I remember correctly, Mike has spent a good job at keeping his tele at base level, so no need to mess with what isn't broken, and there's theoretically only a handful of fights that could even give experience, and I don't think Tella's agility gain actually becomes an issue until like either the mid-20s or the mid-30s. It takes a bit before he actually starts gaining enough agility for it to be a problem.
Yeah, and the Tela just has more utility from now until then. Not like you need a ton, but it speeds up the fights just a little bit.
Yeah, you're not going to have enough experience on the Rydia to really be able to use like even like a Shuro, which I think Step picked one up. I don't know if that got sold, but
Yeah, both runners coming to the threshold at about the same time. And it's time for a counting lesson.
and the question is how low is the count going to get before this character explodes?
I'm going to say 4.
Oh, well, we're already at 3. Oh, you were close.
I made it to 4 on Mike's side, I think.
Yeah, Mike might cleaving through that one a little bit quicker, and we have what we knew was going to be here, which is the dimps. So really what we're down to is that Step is going to have to walk the LST, and Mike still needs to clear Baron Throne.
It's going to be close. And there's...
Oh, and Mike is going to clear this fight a bit quicker. He's just popping coffins, whereas Lively is going to punch her way through it.
Yeah, you don't need those coffins for anything else.
I don't know if Step picked any up, so that might be part of it.
Right, but if you got a stack now, you're never going to have a better time to use them, so... And Mike is through. Going to fall through the pitfall, you know? Even an hour and 50 minutes into the seed, sometimes you just can't avoid a pitfall.
Sometimes you cannot.
And in fact, you never can. It's always going to happen. SteppeLively is through about, 45 seconds after Mike?
Yeah, a little bit just behind the cutscenes. So yeah, this is really going to come down to how quickly Mike clears that the Baron Castle, gets through the cutscene, versus Step having to go to the moon and walk in the lunar subterranean. This is going to be a tight race. Let's see what happens. Also, really going to come down to who has the cleaner Z fight.
Yeah, you know, we've been seeing in the Adamant Cup, we've been seeing some overpowered parties taking on the Z fight, but you have to remember that the Z fight's not guaranteed, and the Z fight can be optimized even with high level parties to skip a big bang, to skip a medio, and that could make the difference.
That could. You know, this isn't a power overwhelming party. You're not looking at Crystal Sword, Adamant, Avenger, Cecil. You know, this is... I think there's enough damage on both team sides, but it's going to be much closer than that clear cut. I have somebody plus Cecil, and we're just going to punch our way through.
Mike entering the sewers, and SteppeLively is heading to the moon. And it is a foot race.
And here we go. Mike is into the first fight as Step is stepping off the whale.
Maybe SteppeLively should change her name to Step Rightly, because that's the way she exits the whale.
Oh, and missing a great moment to just meme the heck out of give Kane MP. Doing the last check. Oh, Step, please don't take too long.
Putting the crystal up.
Yep.
Right where she
Getting the
can
silk web
access
in the
it.
good spot, and away we go.
And beginning the trek to the bottom.
Yeah, Step does have a little bit of an edge here just because even once the CPU goes down, Mike still has to wait for the Baron cutscene, which is not short.
No. It gets to see Zeromus turn to stone, but that's probably last on his mind at this point. Well, if this match is anything to go on, the Gaea Hat group has a lot of talented runners throwing their hat into the ring. Really a credit to the entire Hat group.
Indeed, this is going to be, well, a little too late, as we see some statue action on Mike's side, and Step just running through this. We'll see if she decides to save when she gets to the last floor of the LST before going into the deepest parts. And this is going to be close. I think if either of these runners gets unlucky on Z and wipes, which is, even with Adamant, still a very, very real experience, that could decide this. But up until this point, this is going to be a bit of a nail-biter.
Yeah. SteppeLively going to step into the save room.
As much as an audience member, I will always hope for the swag strat. I think this is the safer play here.
Very much
Doing a
so.
last check, looking everything over. Oh, and it looks like with all the work that we see from Step, that Mike is actually going to be the first into the fight.
Yeah, Mike blazed through that Baron Castle and is going to hand the pass to the guy and make the quick trip to Z. And Moboy, about this time, we have to ponder one of life's most important questions. And it's not why.
Yeah, I mean, all those Z's, I was kind of nodding off there for a second. But yes, so our lovely resident artist, Scala Kitty, has put a ton of different sprites in for Zeromus. So, Sheep, do you want to ask the question?
I will ask the question. Whose butt are we going to kick tonight? And is it a cute butt? It usually is.
Oh, and they end up going in very close together. This is going to be so close.
Mike enters the fight at 157 on the dot. SteppeLively going to enter it at 157.13 or so. 15 seconds apart.
Yep, and here we go, folks. Time to see who has the stronger Z team. This is going to be tight. It looks like Step is planning to have Rosa be one of her damage options, putting that power shirt on along with the gear to really up her stuff. So
yeah, mute arrows, samurai bow, and a power shirt. I believe she has a tiara on. Step got to the crystal first, even though Step got into the fight later, and that is a menacing butt.
I'm wondering what's going on with... So Step's agility might be a little off. I don't know if she's at faster battle speed, but Sid should have gotten first by my count, so we'll see what happens here. Hopefully this doesn't...
Yeah, that's it.
Change things.
That's it. It is at a high level.
That was a very quick big bang. Something's going on. I think Sid's agility 0.
You know, she put on, I believe, a samurai glove. At one point, she might not have put the curse ring back on.
Oh, okay, that could be it as well. Because then, okay, that could be it. We'll see. I mean, she has the levels. She still has the power. It's going to be how this shakes out. And Pancras pointing out I'm wrong. Like, if Sid was agility 0, he 100% would have gone first. Because agility 0 is a strange and beautiful thing that we dare not ponder. But these big bangs are going to come out quick and fast.
Yeah, and it's something she can battle back from, but she's going to have to spend some time scrambling. And Mike's fight, meanwhile, proceeding fairly smoothly. Some high rolls over there on Step's side. But everybody stays up.
And the Cure 4 goes off. So, I mean, Step definitely has a chance to stabilize here. I mean, I think if she just Cure 4, she can just kind of push through and just call this good. I mean, Rose has got the levels. This is a little problematic with Black Hole coming out to get her power put back in, but we'll see how we go here.
Yeah, meanwhile, Mike's got a couple of Zerkers up.
Yep. And, Neon Gray in the chat, definitely rooting for the people's choice, because more freeing is good freeing.
And Mike's Rosa getting in on the action, casting whites.
And this is the danger of casting white with Black Hole. There was almost the quad 9. That would have been amazing. But let's see what happens here. Hopefully Mike is far enough along that this does not make too much of a problem.
Yeah, all Mike is sit and ponder. And it's in rocks. He's almost there. Big dodge from Kane. SteppeLively not at Rock's phase, but that is it. Mike has done it.
Mike coming in.
Mike pulls out the victory. And you called it, Moleboy. That pass made the difference. As
Indeed,
Mike was able to skip the walk and come in first with a time of 2:01:22, and Mike improves to 1-0 in the Gaea Hat group.
Indeed, and I mean, and still, all credit to SteppeLively. You know, look at what's getting run here. This is still really solid, and I'm sure we're going to be seeing Rocks incredibly soon on her screen as well.
Yeah, we'll see if we can get them in for an interview.
And we see Rocks on Step's screen, so finishing just like a minute behind. Very well raced.
Yeah, very well done. That Z fight could have gone pear-shaped for Step very quickly, but she leveled it out and pulled it out. Very good credit. But we are joined now by the winner of tonight's race, mikemike34. Mike GG.
Thank you. That was kind of a wild ride.
It certainly was. How'd you feel going up against your fellow pink pup there?
Good. We've been having fun in Gaea Hat all week. Everybody in there has been a great group. I kind of like the setup they did this year.
So I guess the elephant in the room is that Fey March. which
Oh my gosh.
you really you really managed to do well to get out of there, but they really didn't lead to anything for you. How are you feeling after that?
Less confident. I was feeling really good, by the way, going into Fey March. Like, I felt like I was flying through objectives and making really good time. And then the Wyvern fight was super slow. And then the wall fight was pretty slow also, but I was happy about my Moon Veil, so I knew I could. Once I had the Moon Veil and the Adamant armor, I just jumped back in to take it, and neither really had anything. And I also knew my opponent wasn't probably going to do that. So I felt like I lost quite a bit of time.
Yeah, and really like well run with that. I think I was talking in comms how like, you know, after the sheer amount of time that Wyvern fight took, that couldn't have felt great. But really the difference being you did ordeals for that pass, and that is really what made the difference.
I felt like Ordeals was maybe a 4-minute check.
It was
So
a really quick ordeals.
Okay. So I did gain a little bit of time. When I got the pass, I thought, well, if someone faded Ordeals like I considered doing, it's probably a wash. But given that what seemed to be a close finish, maybe that was part of the difference. I also didn't save for the last 20 minutes because I felt behind.
No, I noticed that actually a little bit where you had saved at the crystal, I think, altar when you went to check Luca. And so it took you a little bit to kind of get back to that. But no, for sure. I mean, incredibly well raced, very close between the two of you. Um, you know, the main multipliers of Step versus you was Step was able to fade a couple of the checks, and Step got that adamant from the sylphs a bit earlier than you did.
Yeah, I imagine. Once I saw that too, I'm like, oh no. All you had to do is do your freebies and you have an adamant.
And
I
they
mean,
also
I don't think adamant. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say they also spiked a second out of, I believe, Evelyn Castle.
Yeah, jeez. Wow, that's like. If they did Luca, that's 3 adamant armors.
Yeah, nobody had time for that.
Right, yeah. I reset quickly. I save scummed. Checked for that Baron key wasn't there, so and then continued the moon dive all the way to value.
So you really did run very well and very efficiently. What are you most proud of? What decision or what fight are you most proud of from the seed that you ran?
The two things I liked the most were all the early game routing. I felt like everything to Fey March was pretty solid. I liked being able to single dip Fabul. And then for fights, when I was in tower, I saw the dimps and made sure I held on to 3 coffins. Well, 4 actually, 1 for Tella.
That was heads up. We were saying how quickly that Dark Imps fight went for you, that you had coffins to use, and it's great to hear that you specifically planned for such an occasion.
Yeah, and in the end, I was like frantically thinking of ways to pick up any like 5 seconds here or there because I felt pretty sure that Step was either ahead of me or right by me.
That completely
But
makes sense.
so I
Sheep,
guess,
do you have any? Oh, go ahead,
yeah.
Sheep.
I guess my last question is: you're 1-0 in the Gaea Hat group. How do you feel like the rest of the group is shaping up for you? What are your expectations for the group stage?
Oh, it's going to be a lot of fun, you know. I think I'm going up against CS next. That'll be a good match. And then Neon, who I saw play today. Won't say anything about the match, but I'm looking forward to that. And after that, Klopfer, who went farther in brackets than I did in ZZ4. So that I expect will be a pretty good challenge. And there's someone else. X Pinkraz, I think it is. So I'm not sure what to expect there.
Never heard of him.
Right. I'm sure it's good.
I
Well,
have heard he has his moments.
well, I heard this guy in front of us, Mike34, has his moments too, and he's 1-0 in the group. So GG's, Mike, and best of luck on the rest of the way.
Thank you. Thanks to everybody working on this. You guys on comms. I know Ishmu came in late for restream, and the tracker. Thank you, everyone.
GG's.
Indeed. Have a great night.
You too.
And I understand we'll be joined by SteppeLively as well.
Hello.
And there she is. Step, GG's.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, how are you feeling? Close race, definitely down to the wire. Yeah. How are you feeling now that you've had the few minutes for the adrenaline to wear off?
I am face palming that I forgot that I had coffins for the Dimps fight.
That's understandable. I think we kind of were like, oh, that's a difference there. And then and the other thing we weren't sure about is, did you have at the end, was Sid cursed?
No, I actually removed the cursed ring at the end
Okay.
because I was hoping for Trizerker plus Rosa curing everybody to hopefully not see Nuke phase, and that failed miserably. There we are.
No, I mean, it was still a massively close race. Like, you're calling out if you'd done the Z fight slightly differently, or if you'd coffined the Dimps. Very close. The main difference, I'm sure, as you and Mike talked, is Mike found the pass on Ordeals.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the major difference there. And you went in, I think we clocked it, you went into Z 15 seconds apart.
So he still pulled ahead a little in the Z fight.
Just from the pass, and then
Oh, gotcha.
had a little bit of a quicker Z fight just because he had tele anchor, so he was able to kind of double zerk, and
Mm-hmm.
just with the extra, basically not having to rezerk because of the black holes nearly as often, was just the major difference. So awesome race, super close, and you definitely, you know, considering the seed and everything, you executed extremely well. And there, I had multiple times that I called out really really smart play on your side. So GG's for sure.
Thank you. Thank you.
So it's fun to have 2 adamant armors, huh?
It really, really is. I was looking for Hanzo Steel, never found it. But I was like, I'll take Adamant.
Yeah, that was the only thing this seed wasn't really willing to give you, was any top tier edge weapons.
Yeah, that hurt.
A fight that we were really admiring your play on with the Maga Sisters fight at Elements. Talk us through kind of your thought process in taking them down.
Well, I hate the MAGA sisters, just generally speaking, and I learned long, long ago that taking down Cindy is my best bet. So I knew I needed to focus fire on her, and as I got her sort of whittled down, I'm like, but if I let Sandy have her way when Cindy's gone, I'm gonna have a problem. So to reduce the amount of time that Sandy was going to be in the fight, I was like, okay, I know I have mute arrows on Rosa, so let me go ahead and zerk her up and then let her sort of spread the damage while the rest of my party is focus firing on Cindy to take her down.
Yeah, no, that was extremely well played, and definitely one that we called out as a really heads up play, because Mike actually zerked a little bit too early, and I think had at least one, if not both, of the other sisters get revived at some point. So definitely a heads up play for that spot with what you ended up doing.
Yeah, revive. I hate it. And I didn't need a grind, so no sisters grind.
Yeah. I mean, I said that, I believe I said that was like the smallest of consolations for Mike, was that he got like 314,000 out of element spot just because of that. But yeah, it never feels good as you're pushing through this stuff.
Yeah, no.
And You definitely were not in a hurry to tackle that Fey March.
Oh, I noped out of that. I was like, I don't even care what that sparkle is. I want nothing to do with it. Just no.
It was Wyvern.
I heard that later, and I was like, oh, so there's the wyvern. Not knowing it was wyvern meant I was doing a lot more saving, so it would have been good to know that that was wyvern that I was noping out of, but just to know that it wasn't elsewhere.
Well, you've really shown that you are a force to be reckoned with in this Gaea Hat group, a tough group, but a balanced group. What are your expectations for the rest of the group stage?
I am excited for the rest of the matchups. My next one is CS Article on Sunday. So I'm excited for them being close races, outliers aside. Um, so I think we're all gonna have a good time and we're gonna have fun for sure.
It is going to be a scrap, and I, for one, can't wait to see how the rest of it plays out. Moleboy, you have any final questions for SteppeLively?
No, I just wanted to say again, great race, well executed, down to the wire, and best of luck with your remaining matches.
Thank you, thank you, thank you all on the commentary team and for the restream team and the support in the race room. You guys were amazing, especially with newbies like me. So much love, much appreciated.
Well, you certainly didn't play like a newbie tonight. GG's and best of luck the rest of the way.
Thank you, thank you.
All right, so thank you so much for those interviews from our runners. Want to take a chance to just call out the restream team. So Sheep, thank you so much for working with me on co-commentating. Call out to Dishmu for the restream, and
Jazzman
thank
for
you.
tracking.
Of course, I decided to have my throat go dry right at the perfect moment, but Chazman for the tracking.
You just wanted to give me a chance to sing. I
That as
see.
well. I mean, when I can.
I appreciate it.
But yeah, I know, and thank you all for the audience for coming out and watching this amazing race as we wrap up the evening. So if anybody wants to hang in there, I believe we're going to be raiding Denari. He's doing some Adamant Cup practice, so we'll be heading over there. As always, no spoilers. Don't get yourself bonked by the newspaper, and we will be back tomorrow with more restreamed action of these races.
Yeah, the first race right on this channel at 3 o'clock Eastern. So join us then. And until then, so long.
And thanks for all the fish. All right.